Alright, so this video is going to talk about the qualifying questionnaire. So first and foremost, what is a qualifying questionnaire? And what it is essentially is a list of questions that are going to come up for your lead where they have to answer them after registering on the website. So we've always wanted to be able to ask the lead some questions after registration, such as if they're a first-time home buyer, if they're pre-approved for a mortgage, do they have a home to sell? So now you're going to have this ability. Once you enable the qualifying questionnaire option, there's three different types of questions that are going to come up. So questions that you're going to ask your buyer leads, questions you're going to ask your seller leads, and questions you're going to ask your rental leads. So what defines these buyer sellers is essentially those that are looking at listings where they're browsing for sale listings that are for sale are buyer leads. Those that are looking for rental listings are going to be considered rental leads. And then those that come from the HomeWorth page are going to be considered, or sold page are going to be considered seller leads. So let's now talk a little bit about the actual questions that come up and then your ability to edit these questions. So again, this is what it looks like. So imagine after registration, this is going to appear where they have to answer these questions. Now you do have the ability to actually specify, let's actually pull it up here. You have the ability to specify that if you wish to allow the person to close that questionnaire after it shows up. So imagine when it shows up like this, they're going to have this X. If you want to allow them to close that questionnaire, then you can keep that checked. If you do not wish to allow them to close it, if you want to actually force them to answer the question after the lead has already come in anyway, you can then uncheck that and you're not going to allow them. Now, what's interesting with this system is that the way we've set it up, if you do allow them to close this questionnaire, when they come back to the website the next time, if they haven't not answered the questions, the questionnaire is going to come up every time. It's going to come up once, they have the ability to close it, but it's going to reappear each time they come back to the website if they have not answered the questions. So now, what the questions are, and then what do you get inside of your CRM system. So we already have these pre-created questions. So I'm going to show you this example in the buyer one. So when we asked people, are you a first-time home buyer with this question? If you click here, it's going to show the answers. And then what we've provided with the ability is that every time they provide, let's say, yes to this question, in our case, we are going to put a tag called first-time home buyer into your CRM system. So you're going to see a lead that's come in and it's going to have this tag first-time home buyer as indication that they've said yes that they're a first-time home buyer. We're also going to create a note with all of the questions they've answered. So you guys are going to have a note inside the CRM system. But why the ability for tags is basically because we want to give you the ability to automate a campaign based on some of these answers. So in our system, you'll have the ability to say, hey, I want to set up a campaign that's, let's say, an email campaign for first-time home buyers, or maybe a set of questions, additional questions that I want to ask a first-time home buyer even through SNS. You can now automate a campaign being added to this lead when this lead comes in as a first-time home buyer. So that's just one really cool example of what you have the ability to do. Here's the rest of the questions just to show you an example. And if you want to see what tag is being added here that we've putting in, you can just hover over it and you can see it here. If you want to add additional tags, all you need to do is click on this plus. It's connected directly to the tags that you have inside of your CRM system. And then if you want to create a tag that's not inside the system, you can actually just create a new tag. This tag is going to appear both here and inside of your CRM system when you do. You could also add additional questions if you want to add additional questions or into the existing questions that we have. Or if you want to add additional questions or even change these questions completely where you get rid of these questions and add your own questions, you have the ability to do that. The different type of questions you can ask is a single select, multi-select, and a date picker. So, and then you can make it mandatory or non-mandatory for them to have to answer that question. And that is how that functionality works and looks. And thanks so much. If you guys have any more questions, please contact support.